Hey everybody, it's Claire. I'm one half of the Ormewoods here in North Atlanta Zone 7B, and we are filming one of our weekly garden tours. And you may have noticed the past couple of weeks we've had a harder time getting some of our videos up, so we appreciate your patience so much. For those of you who don't know, we own a market deli in downtown Atlanta. We have 2 locations, and like so many people in the service industry, we've been struggling with staff shortages and of course supply chain issues and cost of goods issues, and so we've just been dealing with a little bit more stress than normal right now. So we would love any prayers you want to send us, any love, and also just thanks for your patience. But we're excited about filming this video today because we do want to show you some of the seedlings that are coming up that we planted in the end of the fall that we're going to enjoy over the winter. And then we also are going to plant our onions, and we ordered onions from Dixondale Farms. I'll put the link below. And I really appreciate when people send like growing guides. So if you decide to get onions from Dixondale Farms, they will send you a little packet on how to do it, which is really, really nice. So big shout out to them. But we got the red Creole and the yellow Granex and the Texas Legend onions. And all of these are short day onions because where we live, that's what we need to be successful. So if you're buying onions, just make sure you know if you need a short day, an intermediate day, or a long day. So that's the plan for today. Let's get going. Okay guys, so I'm really excited. First of all, this year I was really good about dating my planters so I can remember when I planted it. And these seedlings were planted on 10/20/21. And I remember when I planted them thinking we were so close to our first frost that it was very possible that I had waited too long, I hadn't gotten them started in time, and that nothing was gonna come up. You know, we could have very easily had a freeze the beginning of November, but we didn't. We actually didn't have our freeze until mid to late November, which means it was so worth throwing these seeds in the ground just to see. And then we've had an unseasonably warm November and December. So I just want to put that out there because sometimes you can read all the gardening books and the seed packets and they're going to tell you when to do something and when not to do it, and you might feel like you've missed your window. And my suggestion is do it anyways and just see, because if you don't put it out there you don't get anything, but at least if you try you might. And in this case we have some Daikon Radish over here, and we grew this for the very first time last year, and it was absolutely stunning. First of all, they're really great for the soil. So last year when we grew it, we did it more like a cover crop just to help nurture the soil. I then did pick up a few recipes that I really liked. And so this year I think I planted them densely because I'm going to eat some of them and leave some of them in the ground for the cover crop for the soil. Right next to the Daikon Radish is mustard greens. And these are really, really, really cold hardy. And so if you're, ever someone that it's wintertime and you're just really looking for some greens, but there's not a whole lot that's fresh, mustard greens would be a great thing for you to consider growing. And they're very versatile. You may see that this side is thinner than that side. That's because I densely sow. And then I've been coming out here and pulling from this side for lunches and salads and sandwich toppers, just using the microgreens, and they're delicious. I need to start getting over there because they're gonna start choking each other out for nutrients. So I think these 2 beds are looking really great. Right next to it is kale. And I had pretty much given up on this kale because it was planted 10/20/21, it's the same as these, and nothing. So I thought maybe my seeds were old, but here it is. And in fact, I'm gonna need to thin some of this kale because they need some space, and these seedlings that have popped up are a little bit too close together. So I'll come out here and, pluck them. But the kale is coming up, so maybe it's just a slower starter than what we knew. And then you can see over here, let me move real quick. So this bed is a really great example of intercropping. That's when you plant multiple plants together and they're growing in the same space. We don't have a ton of space here in the suburbs, so we want to get as much out of our space that we do have. But I also really like intercropping because we want to grow our food organically. And if you're growing organically, then pest pressure and pest control is really something you got to think about. And I have been really, really excited to just see how well intercropping works. And the reason it works is that bugs and pests are attracted to certain smells. So when you plant plants together that are different, it masks the smell and it makes it harder for the bugs to find homes there. So we've got our cabbage and remember we started these in the green stalk and then transplanted them out. We've got lettuce, and these are getting about long enough to start being harvested for little baby greens, so I'm excited about that. You know, when it's cold, to be able to have fresh greens just is such a luxury. And then these are garlics, and these are garlics that we put in the ground from our crop we grew last year. So we saved the biggest bulb heads. I think we put about 72 in October, November. And so these are coming up. So we've got garlic, cabbage, and lettuce all growing together. Of course, the garlic is gonna not be harvested till May or June, so it'll be in the ground for a while. The lettuce grows very quickly and we'll eat it quickly, so that will not be a long-term crop. And then the cabbage, they take up a lot of space. So by the time the lettuce are gone, the cabbage will have plenty of room, and hopefully we'll have some cabbage heads by February or March for us. When we first started gardening, it would really freak us out when we'd come out and there would be all these mushrooms all over our soil. We were even at one point worried that maybe something was wrong with our dirt. But what we quickly learned was that mushrooms are actually a great sign of fertility in your soil. So when you see mushrooms, think to yourself, you've done a great job. And be careful about eating them, because mushrooms can be poisonous. So make sure you look up and research and be real careful if you're wanting to use them for food. Okay, moving on. Okay, so one of the fun things about planting carrots is that even when it gets cold, you can just store them in the ground and they can stay there until you're ready to eat them. So this section of the bed was full of carrots, but I've been coming out and getting one or two for lunch, and this is the last one in this bed. We have some more carrots over back in those beds, but in this bed, this is it. This is it for the carrots. So I thought I would pull it for you. Let's see what we got. Oh wow, this might be the prettiest carrot we've ever grown. Hang on. Okay guys, I'm thinking this is the prettiest carrot we've ever grown, because a lot of times our carrots are like bendy, which I guess is just there's rockiness in the soil. This is like a perfect shape. It's really big. That's the other thing, is sometimes I think maybe I get impatient and I pull them early and they're still kind of baby carrots, which they're delicious. But this is like a proper carrot. I mean, look how wide that is. It's like almost the length of my thumb. So we're going to plant our onions in the Hugelkultur bed, which many of you saw that video. It's one of our more popular videos this year. We built a bed solely with logs and then covered it with just a little bit of compost, and then we immediately planted into it, and this bed did phenomenally well. So if you're thinking about doing a Hugelkultur bed, I would really encourage you to go back and watch that video. We'll try to remember to put the link in the description. But the one thing I would say about the bed, because of the woods in it, is that we had no issues with moisture and with watering, which if you're in the south and you're having 95-degree plus days in the summer, that's a big deal. So we're excited to see how the onions do over this growing period. So we're going to get set up and get going. Okay, so we got one row of the Texas Legend onions planted and one roll of the red Creole over here. And you may be wondering why we did it like this. Onions are heavy feeders. They need a lot of food, and you want to make sure you're fertilizing them as soon as they go into the ground. So we've planted the onions, but then we've left space outside of them on each side where we'll just put a little small trench, and then we'll put the fertilizer in the trench, so we'll cover it with soil, and then we'll water everything in and get it mulched. So Thanks you guys for joining us once again. We so appreciate you, and more importantly, we love getting to know you. So thank you for taking the time to leave comments and share with us who you are and where you're from and what you're growing. And we will see you next week. Bye.